Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today we have lots to discuss with you. So without further ado, these are the topics that we'll be discussing during the course of the show. We'll begin with the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the 10 years of this important project that has further strengthened the relations between Pakistan and the People's Republic of China. Yesterday, a very important message by President Xi Jinping was narrated by the current Vice Prime Minister of the People's Republic of China, in which President Xi Jinping reiterated China's unwavering support to Pakistan, saying no matter how the international landscape may change, China will always stand firmly with Pakistan. He also said that both countries will continue to improve the overall planning and expand and deepen this cooperation. This is going to be our first segment. 10 years of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the strengthening of ties between Pakistan and China, the visit of Mr. He Lifeng and his delegation, and how that has also further given the impetus to strengthen cooperative projects such as CPEC and others. Our second segment, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Mineral Summit that is being held today. In fact, it ended today. Pakistan held this Mineral Summit titled Dust to Development in Islamabad, in which many important specialists and heads of important organizations took part. There were important discussions in this summit as well. The spokesperson of the Ministry of Petroleum said that the joint hosts of the seminar are the Ministry of Petroleum and Barrick Coal Corporation, in which our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Saab, Chief of the Army Staff, Musaddiq Malik Saab and others highlighted the importance of this mineral summit and the importance to excavate minerals. Then we are going to talk about the Haryana clashes that have erupted in India after Manipur. Now it's Haryana that is under the fire, and how again the Muslims are being targeted. And finally, we'll be talking about the US-Taliban talks that have finally begun. A spokesperson of the Afghan Ministry of Foreign Affairs has said both sides have discussed confidence-building measures during these two-day talks. Let's begin with our first segment, and that concerns China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and the 10 years of this important and hallmark project. More in the following report.
China-Pakistan eternal friendship has blossomed into ideal case of interstate relations that has withstood the vicissitudes of international upheavals and vagaries of domestic changes. As this year marks the 10th anniversary of the launch of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, China and Pakistan are committed to promoting high-quality development of the corridor and making it a model project for the joint construction of BRI. For Pakistan, relations with China form the cornerstone of our foreign policy, and China, on the other hand, is committed to all-weather strategic cooperative partnership and building a closer China-Pakistan community of shared future. Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng, acting as the special envoy of Chinese President Xi Jinping, is paying an official visit to Pakistan to attend the decade of CPEC celebrations. The CPEC is a flagship of the BRI, which has helped improve Pakistani people's livelihood and created many jobs for locals. As of 2022, the CPEC has brought $25.4 billion in direct investment to Pakistan and created about 236,000 jobs. It helped Pakistan generate 8,000 megawatts of electricity and built 886 kilometers of national core transmission grid, according to the Chinese embassy in Pakistan. One of the watershed developments during the 10 years was the high-octane operation of Gwadar Port, crown jewel of the CPEC.
Today, we can claim that under CPEC, more than $25 billion worth investment took place in power sector, road infrastructure, hydropower sectors, and public transport. I have no doubts that we are entering into second phase of CPEC. And today, we have signed certain important documents which will further enhance our economic cooperation, and we will undertake second phase of CPEC under a new model.
Lifeng's visit will be an opportunity to implement the important consensus reached between the leaders of two countries, continue to build on past achievements and upgrade the development of the CPEC.
Now, to discuss this segment, we've been joined by two guests. Both the guests join us online. Our first guest is Professor Chung Shin. She joins us from Beijing, and she's a specialist as far as the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is concerned. Our second guest is Shakeel Ramay. He's a senior economist. He also joins us online. Let's begin with Shakeel. Shakeel, thank you very much to have joined us. This 10 years of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, now that we are on the cusp of a new chapter as far as the CPEC is concerned, what are you looking forward to in order to further strengthen economic connectivity between both the countries, that is Pakistan and China?
Thank you, Khalid. I think what I can expect or any other body can expect, it has already been mentioned in this long-term plan. So the long-term plan of CPEC spell out each and everything, how we will be strengthening economic, trade and investment linkages in the future. The second phase, we are looking forward to 2 or 3 things which I think government must prioritize and put efforts to work on that. Number 1, the government should expedite the work on special economic zones. Without economic zones, we cannot realize the dream of industrialization process which has been envisioned in CPEC. Second, agriculture. So on agriculture, we have to put in place the mechanisms which can help us to enhance the productivity of our crops. Number 3, I think minerals, which we are talking about, which also had been part of the long-term plan. I think again we have proper policies and set of actions, we can expect so many things from the CPEC in the second phase, which can turn around the fate of the country.
Shakeel, kindly stay online with us. I'll go to my second guest who joins us from China. Professor Chung Shin, thank you very much to have joined us. Professor, what do you think is the true potential of this relationship between Pakistan and China under the ambit of CPEC? Professor Shin, can you hear us? All right, let's come back to Shakeel till such time that we get hold of Professor Shin. Now, a statement that was taken out by the Prime Minister's office to commemorate the completion of 10 years of CPEC and of course this huge project between Pakistan and China. Our Prime Minister said in the statement that he has vowed to double the pace of development projects under this huge project, which in your point of view are the projects that have been proven to be decisive as far as Pakistan's economic development are concerned?
I have already spoken, the industrialization process. That is the key for our economic transformation. Because we are still stuck in the primary stage of the economy, we are trying to move to the secondary stage, and secondary stage cannot be achieved without the industrialization process. But Khalid, for that purpose, we have to put in place the mechanisms. We cannot move in the second phase, or we can expedite the work in the second phase. We are only talking. That is a problem. We cannot move forward. We need, at this point of the time, we need a strong centralized body which can make decisions and implement decisions regarding the CPEC. I give you one example. How China succeeded in its endeavors to become a second largest economy of the world. When China started in with the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone, its total population was 18 to 20,000 people. But China gave it the status of the provincial capital. Why? Because they wanted to give them the facilities like what facilities has been designed for the provincial headquarters. Few years later, they gave the Shenzhen the status of the province. So province can make legislations and implement those decisions. And they were given the autonomy for the trade, investment, and other financial autonomy to make decisions properly. That's why Shenzhen became a success story. And you know, when the process started, Shenzhen's total economic size was only 4 million. Now today, the total economic size GDP of Shenzhen, only one special economic zone, is 477 billion US dollar, more than Pakistani GDP. So these are the fundamental reforms which China did.
I totally agree with you, Shakeel, and I hope that we see more figures as far as these special economic zones are concerned. Stay online with us. We've been joined by Professor Chung Shin. Professor Shin, thank you very much to have joined us. What is the true potential of a huge project such as the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, in your point of view?
Thank you, Mr. Barton. I'm so honored to be invited to be one of the guests today. And I think the great since China and Pakistan has kept a good relation and cooperation since 1960, and so we have a very strong trust and strong friendship and strong connection. So it's that would be and also over the past 10 years of the CPEC cooperation, this friendship from the last decades have been strengthened, and more trust, more cooperation, more collectivities. That this would be a very great potential for future. I think this is my thinking about this the potential of this relation. Thank you.
Professor Chung-Shin, what about the future? 10 years have passed since the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. The second phase of the CPEC has begun. What do you feel is the future direction that this mega project is going to take?
Okay, that's a good question, and we are looking forward to the future. But I want to say a little bit about the past decade. I think since 2013. The CPEC has set up so many projects, and many projects have been completed or are making great progress. As we can name, there's a lot of water sports, as the Peshawar Karachi project,
Yes, we are hearing you. Please go on.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I got another international call. It confused me. Okay. So I want to say that in the past we have in the 10 years really achieved a lot, including the highway, the energy program, the power plants, the water port, the transportation, the infrastructure in energy projects. But I want, these are all very important. I want to share one story quickly. Back in, I have hosted many Pakistani journalists in my school at Ramay University of China in Beijing, and they have one back in 2015. One journalist told me that the Pakistan was short of electricity, and in the city, maybe 8 hours, people will not have electricity. Maybe about 8 hours, but in the countryside, the situation was even worse. Maybe 10 or 16 hours. I was so surprised and impressed by what he said, and I also pay attention to the power plant project. And so later on, when new journalists came to visit us, I would ask them how about the electricity situation now, and they tell me, every year they tell me some good news, and I'm happy that the electricity problem have been solved in some degree, to some degree. So I think this is a very good beginning for the future, and for the future. As President Xi Jinping has said, it should be exemplary project. It should be exemplary project of BRI of BRI, because it was the pioneer project of BRI, and now it was started, and the whole world is watching about this project, and we have a good relation. This good relation really helped the progress of this project. And with this good vision and determination and leadership of Chinese president and Pakistani leadership, I'm sure this project will move forward and making great progress, because we have a very good, strong foundation for such all the programs, and all the programs will continue. I'm sure it will be an exemplary project, as President Xi Jinping said. Thank you.
That is true. Professor Chung-Shin, as President Xi Jinping said, this is an exemplary project and will continue to be one. Well, how can a project, Professor, can bring other countries apart from Pakistan and China together? How can it strengthen the region?
I think, very important. They can contribute to the region because it is set an example. Why we say it's an example, exemplary project? Because this is a project to show our determination, goodwill, and action of global governance. So we hope that this project will, the CPEC will show the world that cooperation makes us stronger, makes the world better, and cooperation is important for global development and for the world peace. So I think ideologically it will tell people this deliver the important message to the world that cooperation will help the global governance, and practically it will the growth or the development of the project will help more people, help more technicians in different part of different fields get collected. So collection, the actual collection, even the physical collection, will make the whole world more collected, and I think the whole region will learn from this project. This is very important. This is the significance of the example of the CPEC.
All right. Thank you so very much, Professor Chung-Shin, to have joined us, to have talked to us, and to have elaborated the point of view as far as China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is concerned from, of course, the Chinese experts' point of view. Thank you very much, Professor, to have joined us. Coming back to Shakeel Ahmed Ramay. Shakeel, in your point of view, what are the potential challenges that the CPEC is confronting or could confront?
I think if consenting means that's when potential challenges are already there. So that's mean in the future. So CPEC has 3-4 things which I think the major challenges CPEC is facing, and if government will not take care of that, the problem will sustain there, and we cannot exploit the potential of CPEC. Number one, government will have to define the chain of command. Who is the boss of the CPEC? Because right now we can see there's a tug of war among ministries and the departments and even the political parties. Everybody say it's my baby, but nobody is taking care of that. Nobody and no ministry is taking a required step to expedite the process. That is the real problem at this time of the point for the CPEC. Like, we need a strong centralized body like CPEC authority or other institution, you can say. Number two, complicated institutional framework. Right now, if anybody want to open a business here in Pakistan, he had to register with 4 or 5 different companies. He had to take more near about 100 NOCs, then clearance for the security agencies. Then there are 35 different types of the tax agencies. On top of that, if we look at the ease of doing business, which we say the improvement, there is improvement, but on the ground there is no improvement because institutions are so complex and overlapped. We have a federal body, a board of investment. In Pakistan, we have the provincial body. If you want to establish a special economic zone or something like that, you have to start from the province to the federal, and there are number of institutions they are involved. We have to take care of institutional complex. Number 3, security. Security is a very important area. During first phase, our armed forces, no doubt, they played a wonderful role and they provided excellent security to the CPEC projects. But the requirements of second phase are entirely different from the first phase. How? Because in second phase, there will be industrialization and agriculture. In this process, a huge number of people will be engaged. You cannot, in fact, in one factory, maybe there are 4,000, 5,000 people are working. You cannot put up one person on each person. So you need a different set of security initiatives. I think the best instrument for the second phase would be to engage police and give the police the leading role, because police has the speciality to work at the ground and with the civilians. Army definitely will give the security about counter-terrorism and these activities and international threats. They can work on that. But for the social and civil, I think the police would be the best institution. Number 4, we need to stop taking the stop the credit game. Credit game is really hurting CPEC. We have seen in the past, when one party is in the power, they say, oh, CPEC is due to me. And the opposition says, no, they are not doing any work. So when they change the gloves, the opposition came to the power, they say, oh, we are doing everything right. Then the new opposition says, no, they are not doing anything. So this credit game actually malign the CPEC. So we have to come out of that. Number 5, we need to get rid of our habit of the lip service. For example, I usually say this, the job of the government is silently make the policies, implement the policies, and get the desired result. It is not the government job to go for the advocacy events or something like speeches. This is the job of institutions. Government have number of institutions. Like you can talk about it, there are a number of institutions, universities, which can take the job of the publicity. Government need to work on concrete policies and their implementation. If government is successful to get the desired result, for example, this industrialization process is completed, so that would be the best advocacy of government action, because people will benefit and you don't need to tell them what we are doing for you. People will know that what you have did for them. So we need to come out of this lip service. I think these are 4-5 major problems which we have to take.
All right. Shakeel, what about the propaganda that is emanating in the West, in certain countries in the region, as far as the CPEC and the BRI being an expansionist project, quote unquote? How can we rebut such a propaganda?
I think the Western propaganda is actually, they are superiority complex, either I can say inferiority complex, or hegemonic aspirations. It has no reality at all. If you look at the facts and figure, for example, they were talking about debt trap. I have written a paper there are a number of institutions which collected data which proved Chinese investment is a debt relief. It is not debt trap. But they keep on doing the negative propaganda. The real reason is that Chinese investment has broke the hegemony or the control of Western countries or many countries of the world, especially for the developing country. Before Chinese investment, the developing country have to go to the West, and the West enjoy the control. Whenever they want to punish any country, they put on the economic sections, or they go for the arm twisting, or we will not do the investment in your country. So West enjoy the complete hegemony, and they were enjoying the control. When the Chinese investment came, so it means there is no more hegemony. So that's why West want to sustain that hegemony. That's why they are trying to propagate against Chinese investment. The best way to reply the propaganda is to complete the project on time. Like CPEC, we are benefited so much during the first phase. I just give you one example. There's a lot of going on, a lot of people who talk about energy. Look, when CPEC came into Pakistan was losing 4 to 5 billion US dollar due to electricity shortage. Now Pakistan managed to overcome that challenge. If Chinese investment did not come in the energy, so what would be the situation in 2022? In 2014, our population was 188 million people. In 2022, our population was 230 million people. In 2014, our per capita consumption of electricity was 431 kilowatt per hour. In 2022, our per capita consumption was 644 kilowatt. Now you imagine, Omar, if there was no investment from Chinese investment in the energy sector, I have calculated a rough estimates. It shows that Pakistan will be losing 15 to 20 billion US dollar on annual basis. And you know, we have to obey everything of IMF just to get the 1 billion US dollar. So what would be the situation of our economy? So in this way, I say the best thing is we need to expedite our work, implement the projects, enhance the industrialization process, and come up with a better idea for agriculture and implementation of agriculture projects. Once fruits has been delivered, propaganda will die its natural death. If we will not be able to deliver on the promises or the projects, then the propaganda will continue. For agriculture, if you have time, Omar?
Yes, sir, I'm listening to you. Shakeel, I'm listening to you.
Agriculture, I think we have to define our intervention in two phases. Number one, growth oriented. Number two, development oriented. If we kept talking about or bringing about the projects on the growth oriented in agriculture sector, it will not be good of the farming in the long run. Because our majority of the people, they are the small farmers, more around 90%. So we also have to take care of the development oriented interventions in the agriculture sector. Corporate farming, that is a growth oriented. If we only put focus on the growth oriented and corporate, then we will maybe lose a battle in the long run. We have to strike a balance between our agriculture.
I totally agree with you, Shakeel. We have to strike a balance, and this is a balance that we have to retain for the next couple of years, irrespective of whichever government comes into power. It has to continue with the same policies in order to further strengthen and establish CPEC as a mega project between both these countries and also for Pakistan. Thank you so very much, Shakeel Ahmed Ramay. I'm a bit short of time, otherwise I would have continued our discussion. Thank you so very much for your cooperation and, of course, for your contribution to this important topic. Let's come to our second segment, and that concerns the mineral summit that is that happened today in Islamabad, entitled Dust to Development. More in the following report.
The first ever Pakistan Minerals Summit is underway in Islamabad to explore and capitalize vast potential of the mining and minerals industry in the country. The summit, with the theme Dust to Development, Investment Opportunities in Pakistan, will bring together international investors, mining industry giants, corporate leaders and government stakeholders to create a roadmap for tapping into the tremendous mineral riches of the country. Addressing the inaugural session of Pakistan Minerals Summit, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has stressed the need for making untiring efforts and hard work to realize the dream of our forefathers to put the country on the path of development and prosperity. Minister of State for Petroleum Dr. Musaddiq Malik stated that the value of mineral reserves of Pakistan stands at $6.1 trillion, and mining offers job opportunity to medium and low-skilled workers. Pakistan has vast reserves of several metallic and non-metallic mineral reserves, including those of gold, copper, iron, chromite, barytes, gypsum and rock salt. All government bodies have also been directed to eliminate red tape from mineral development departments. The government is committed to ensure that the highest health and safety standards offered internationally shall be adopted by companies eyeing entry in Pakistan's mining sector.
Now, to discuss more on the topic, we've been joined by Dr. Vaqar Ahmed. He's a Joint Executive Director of SDPI. Dr. Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. Dr. Saab, a very important summit on mineral excavation and minerals in general in Islamabad. What, in your point of view, is the importance and what should be the roadmap for tapping into the mineral reserves of Pakistan?
Thank you, Omar. Thank you for having me. I think after a very long time, we are seeing the long-term investors' confidence revive, and the last time we had seen such a moment was actually the early harvest program of CPEC, we recall. And it is after that that one is seeing the interest of a similar magnitude. That is one. Second, mineral has been a sector in which Pakistan has traditionally remained very conservative. This sector wasn't traditionally very open to invite foreign investment, and it is for the first time that a new breed of investors is coming to Pakistan to explore various forms of minerals and related investor interest, of course, because good minerals would require special logistics expertise as well, which is being invited here. Now, the size of investment which is being quoted, which is somewhere around $46 billion, estimated size of investment. Now, that is huge. And I think while, of course, this is just an upfront estimation, the multiplier or the dynamic effects of this investment are going to go a long way beyond just growth impacts, and this is also going to impact, or I should say, invite high-quality jobs within the country.
All right. Now, Dr. Vaqar, you talked about these $46 billion and they have mainly coming from the UAE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. A, do you feel more countries will join the fray once this whole process starts? And B, what do you feel about the 6,000 square kilometers of mineral resources that Pakistan has, that includes coal, copper, gold, gypsum, marble? Do you feel Pakistan should properly utilize modern and rapid mining techniques to further increase their revenue? Our connection, I think, with Dr. Vaqar has been lost. We are trying to get back to him. As soon as we do, we will continue our conversation. Nevertheless, Pakistan held a Mineral Summit titled Touch to Development today in Islamabad. Spokesperson of the Ministry of Petroleum said that the joint hosts of the seminars are the Ministry of Petroleum and the Barrick Gold Corporation. Pakistan, as we've talked earlier with the Dr. Vaqar as well, possesses immense potential as far as its mineral resources are concerned, and the objective of this seminar has been to promote direct foreign investment opportunities in the mineral sector, as Dr. Vaqar said, the UAE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have pledged $46 billion as far as the mineral excavation is concerned. Many important guests were there on the occasion, whether it be our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Saab, whether it be the Chief of the Army Staff, whether it be Musaddiq Malik Saab. They all, of course, talked to the audience and highlighted the importance of mineral excavation. Dr. Vaqar, welcome back to our conversation. Dr. Vaqar, how, in your point of view, can Pakistan utilize rapid and modern mineral mining techniques in order to further increase its revenue as far as its 6,000 kilometers of excavated land or land that could be excavated to extract minerals is concerned?
Yes, I think there are two elements to this question. One is that to start with, one will require capital investment and, of course, a highly skilled workforce from abroad, because locally, of course, we won't find people who are trained to do this kind of work. However, there has to be a sunset clause for those who are coming in with interest, and those sunset clause should include locally trained workforce or even local partners in a joint venture taking over these investments as time passes. So there's going to be an element of capacity building which should take place very quickly so that local firms and local workforce has their stakes in this operation. Then at a third level, we also need to realize that this kind of work, this kind of excavation requires very specialized logistics industry as well. That industry is totally has a very different mindset of its own, if I can say, because that industry only comes in a country where they're able to see at least 3 to 4 decades of investment materialize. So if one is to house that industry over here, and they are going to transport all these minerals, inputs as well as outputs from the source to the port or even within the country through the land routes, their industry would also require services which need to be in place very quickly.
Dr. Vaqar, when it comes to the Mineral Summit or before that, Green Pakistan and IT seminars, how important are seminars such as these to A, generate interest from the outside world as far as Pakistan's potential is concerned, and B, how important is it to put Pakistan back on the path through development?
Yes, I think that these 2 or 3 summits which have taken place, they largely respond to Pakistan's latest one window offering, which is the SIFC. And given that IT, minerals, agriculture, these are part of the SIFC's terms of reference, it's heartening to see that investors have taken up this offer. They have come in with MOUs, they have come in with potential offerings or at least pledges of what they would like to invest over here. But if I can submit that we now need to go very quickly beyond these 2 or 3 sectors as well. And institutions such as Board of Investment at federal level, as well as provincial Board of Investment, as well as provincial Industries Department would really need to buckle up now so that the sentiment also trickles down to other manufacturing industries as well.
I think, Dr. Vaqar, that is very important. The one window operation is extremely important. Also, addressing red tapeism, regulatory issues in mining sector, and the establishment of the Special Investment Facilitation Council. Do you feel these initiatives are important in the right direction? More needs to be done. What's your take?
No, I think this is a step in the right direction, and having been part of a few of these meetings, they are really working, SIFC or colleagues who are involved in SIFC, they are really working on a war footing, really trying to let the investor know that Pakistan is open for business. We are promoting Make in Pakistan. We are also trying to help export industries with their importing needs as well. You have put that State Bank also come up with a very proactive stance towards helping the exporting industries as well going forward. However, as you also pointed out in your comment a while back, now follow through is something which will be very important in the coming months. We must not lose the interest of those investors who have recently visited Pakistan, and we should continue to follow up with them if they're facing any binding constraints or irritants with any of the local offices. We should lend out a helping hand in a very proactive manner.
Dr. Vaqar, on the one hand, you talk about the importance of one window operation and processes such as these. On the other hand, there's also the health and safety standards that are being offered internationally. Do you feel the same international standards should also be offered to the companies that show interest in the mining sector in Pakistan?
Absolutely. I think that is a must. And our experience from CPEC could help. While, of course, we were open to coal-based investment under CPEC, but there were proper safeguards which were put into place to cater for health, hygiene, and other environmental needs. Similar protocols should be in place for this investment as well. We have seen the kind of devastating environmental impact that untrained labor force would have, for example, when they are dealing with geographical terrain. This has been seen in the northern areas, where we now face very unanticipated climatic impacts. We don't want to see that happen in the south as well.
Dr. Vaqar, what has the progress been so far on the Recordic project? Our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Saab said that he has told the authorities to form a project support team for the execution of this project. What details do you have on your end?
Yes, I think currently there is a phase of confidence building which is going on from both sides. We understand that both sides had a very long period of arbitration which they have gone through. And now finally, of course, the private sector party is now on board. And once, of course, their trust has now been restored, you saw them participate in a big way in the Pakistan Mineral Summit as well. I think the next phase, as the Prime Minister said, is really to expedite this process going forward. While, of course, federal government will be taking a lead, as you rightly said, there will be a project management unit or a focal office, to take care of Recordic. But having said this, Prime Minister is also mindful that stake of the province, the relevant province here, as well as the local communities, has to be taken care of so that there is no sabotage of such investment measures in the longer term.
All right. Thank you so very much, Dr. Vaqar, to have joined us. That was Dr. Vaqar Ahmed, Joint Executive Director of the SDPI and a renowned economist as well, talking to us about this important mineral summit that was held today in Islamabad, and many important guests were there, many important discussions were being held, many important discussions with international and local leaders about how to take the mining sector forward. Let's come to our last two stories, ladies and gentlemen. The first concerns India, and why we talk about India, because of what is happening in India. We know what happened in Manipur, and now let's talk about what is happening in Haryana. There is another clash that has happened in Haryana. This time, this violence erupted when a Hindu religious procession passed through the Muslim-dominated New region, located 50 kilometers away from New Delhi. 4 people, including an imam, were killed, and several police personnel were injured in the ongoing clashes in the state. 2 people, of course, including this imam, were attacked by the Hindu gang outside an under construction mosque in Gurugram. area. A gang of 4 men attacked the Imam. He was also shot in the leg and he said to be critical, while Saad, another person, was killed in the attack. This shows the intent with which the Indian government is moving forward as far as its so-called pluralism is concerned, or maybe religious freedom, none of which is apparently present in India, as has been seen in Manipur, as has been evident by what has happened in Haryana and also in other parts of the country. And how can we not talk about Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir? Let's talk about our last topic, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the talks between the United States and the Taliban. Now, Taliban leaders have met with officials from the US in Qatar for the first time since they returned to power in 2021. A spokesperson for the Afghan Ministry of Foreign Affairs says both sides discussed confidence-building measures during these two-day talks. The delegations also discussed combating narcotics and human rights issues. The US State Department in a statement has said that its officials told Taliban that Washington was open to technical talks on economic stability and repeated concerns about the deteriorating human rights in the country. The attendees who were there, US Special Representative Thomas West, Special Envoy for Afghan Women, Girls and Human Rights Reena Amiri, who also voiced grave concern regarding the detentions, media crackdowns and limits on religious practice. This was also stated by the US State Department. The fact remains that it's good that both the parties are finally having these talks. It's good that important issues such as the human rights issue, the issue regarding the women is also being put on the table. Let's see how these discussions pave the way for a better situation as far as the human rights or the rights of women to get education is concerned. We remain optimistic. With that, we end today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with news story segments that pertain to us here in Pakistan. Allah Hafiz.